Audacity in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Barbell Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Christina Lynn, and I'm here with my co-host, Marissa Roy. And in today's episode, super fitting, we're going to talk all about what to do when you're sick.
Yes, and the reason why we say this is super fitting is because we both just got back from our trip to the Fitness Business Conference in Arizona, where there were over 200 different fitness coaches and people who are successful in our industry. It was an awesome event. But unfortunately, it's turning out that a lot of people that were at that event are coming back sick. So we are not feeling the best today. So we're going to hope that this will be a little bit shorter of an episode, but we're still showing up here to talk you guys through just like what actionable things you can do to, get better faster, feel a little bit better when you're sick, especially because like the holidays and this time of year. And right now, a lot of people are coming down with either the cold, the flu, COVID, all of the above. And it's really omnipresent right now. So just want to make sure we cover this topic.
Yeah, and I think it's also fitting because, again, not only are we not feeling good, but a lot of our clients are not feeling good too. So we thought that this would be very fitting for this time, beginning of January, to just go over some things. But I feel like a lot of people are like, well, of course they're sick if they went to a 200-person event, but we're still not really sure what we've got going on, but we'll kind of dive into everything and what we've personally been doing, and then also what we like, kind of the strategies and tips and tricks that we tell our own clients.
Yeah. And I was like, I expected it at this point because I was like, that's going to be a packed room. I'm going to enjoy that room, but I'll probably catch something.
I don't know if you've seen this kind of like meme going around, but it's like people who haven't caught COVID yet. It's kind of like feeling like you're playing dodgeball and the center lines or the front lines have been thinned out. You're just kind of waiting.
And like everybody's like already been tagged out and like you're the last one in the corner. Like,
yeah. So that's kind of how, I don't know, maybe I felt like I was like, oh, well, I either had it like early on and just didn't know and didn't test, or I've just been lucky. So I was like, oh, well, I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I end up testing positive or anything, but we'll dive into kind of just not necessarily what to do when you are sick, but just some things that you can do to help prevent sickness in the first place. And something that we were talking about off air was just avoiding alcohol. And so I thought that would be super fitting for you to kind of cover.
Yeah. So I guess, let's talk prevention first. Obviously it's like, we can't always prevent sickness. Like ultimately, like we might just, it's the weirdest circumstance that you might have that you run in with someone who has a cold or COVID or whatever. But, I was telling Christina off air, I was like, I'm so curious, like if I actually would have come down with anything, if I didn't drink on Saturday night, because there was a big party and I had like 3 drinks, which is, more than I've really had in a very long time. And alcohol lowers your immune system. So I was like, I wonder if like I would have just like been able to power through if I didn't drink, which like we'll never know. But that is something that does lower your immune system, that makes it easier for you to catch things or come down with things if you're exposed to them. And then other things for prevention would be definitely just like regular exercise. That is so good for your immune system, and just your overall health in general, as we know from, listening to this podcast, if this is not your first episode. And then eating a micronutrient dense diet, having lots of vitamin C, fruits, vegetables, all the things that we generally preach, guys, about like, exercise, healthy living, nutrition, all of that stuff is really, really pivotal for your immune health and preventing getting sicknesses in the future, or just making whatever sicknesses you do come down with not hit you as hard if you do catch them.
Yeah. So I think there's been so much talk, and I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, but I felt like, especially in the beginning with COVID and even now, it's like, oh, wear a mask, like social distance, like, wash your hands. And while those things are great, but there's still some things personally that we can do to take personal responsibility for trying to not get sick in the first place, not just when it comes to COVID, but just any other sickness. And so, yeah, so avoiding alcohol, eating that micronutrient dense diet and just taking care of your health and fitness. And so hopefully you're in a better position with a stronger immune system. So if you are exposed, either it's not as bad or you don't get sick in the first place. But like like Marissa and I mean, I guess we're not the best examples because we did get sick. But I guess we can talk about, all right, so now you are sick, like you've done all the things, you are super healthy, but just like us, you came down with something. So now what do we do?
Yeah, no, I love it. And so I guess like the overarching theme for a lot of this and a lot of situations that we talk about in health and fitness and how do we not lose our progress or whatever is really just like we do need to learn how to trust ourselves, trust our gut, and listen to our body. And sometimes resting and skipping days from the gym or not hitting everything perfectly like we should is still the answer when we're feeling sick or feeling under the weather. And I tend to look at it, and this was a lot easier to talk about, I think, before COVID, because there's obviously restrictions on like when you can or can't be out in public. But typically before all of that ensued, my recommendation was like, if you're on the way down with something, you definitely don't want to be in the gym like hitting it hard, because that's just, you're already on the way down, you're coming down with something, your body's trying to fight off this stressor, which is sickness. And so adding stress of exercise to that is just going to make it way harder for your body to fight off the sickness itself that it's that's coming on, and b be able to recover from the actual workout. And then the recommendation that I used to have, which I guess now it just depends on like where are you on like being contagious and like are you testing positive, negative, anything if it is COVID. If you're on the way up, my recommendation was like, it's okay to exercise in that capacity, but like you do want to kind of just be mindful that again your body's still fighting off something. So if you do exercise really, really hard right off the bat in that situation, you're probably going to prolong some of the symptoms that you're having and make it harder for yourself to bounce back immediately. But light movement and getting the blood flowing, sweating a little bit can actually be beneficial if you're not overdoing it to accelerating your recovery. So it's really about finding a fine balance between like, if you are on the way up, maybe you're 80-85% of the way there, then light exercise and kind of getting yourself, like easing yourself back into it can help, but don't be too tempted to go ham your first workout back, because it's probably not going to end up great for anyone.
Yeah. And something that I have seen, not personally, but I guess like anecdotes that I've heard is like, again, I feel like it's so different now. We have to like make sure that we're differentiating between like the common cold or flu versus like COVID, because I feel like it is a little bit different. So I know that there are people who have caught COVID and they started to feel better, and so they pushed a workout, and that actually ended up prolonging their COVID symptoms. And they would do this kind of the same cycle. They take some more days off and then they push a workout and then they prolong again. And so it's like if they had just fully let themselves rest, they would have been in a better position. So yeah, I think it's kind of like you have to just see what you've got and like where you are. And there used to be, I don't know if you've ever heard of the neck check.
Maybe.
So it's basically like if you're having symptoms from your neck up. So if you're having like headaches, or like you have an ear infection, or you're like, maybe you're a little like sniffly or whatever, then it's probably okay if you want to go to the gym. And again, this is not like, I don't know. I feel like it's like, I don't want
disclaimer.
Yeah. I don't want people to go to the gym if they're sick, you know what I mean? Like expose people, but use common sense. But that kind of was like a rule of thumb. But it's like, if you're having fever or like stomach issues, like
body aches,
body
chills.
aches,
Yeah.
yeah, then that's a good time to like, hey, I need to stay home and rest. And I
Yeah.
guess everyone knows their body best and when they probably should or shouldn't push it. But I feel like if you're sick, I feel like it's just better to get a little extra rest than it is to try to push it and go back to the gym and make things worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like, especially this time around, like being back home now and like feeling the way that I feel, I'm honestly kind of using it just as an opportunity to like get my sleep schedule back on track without like totally screwing it. Because the first day back from Mountain Time to Eastern Time, like I woke up at like 8, which is not bad. But like I definitely could have woken up at like 11 a.m. and been like, frick, like I totally messed it up. So just kind of use it as an opportunity to go to bed early, because NyQuil just puts you right to sleep. So do that, and like just using it as an opportunity to like maybe set my morning routine a little bit better. Like this morning I did some stretching, I did some meditation instead of like rushing into my work day, because that's normally what I do when I get back from the gym. So did that instead, and kind of just like, for someone like me who's been doing this for, 6-7 years of lifting and living this lifestyle, like I have the perspective that it's not going to ruin my progress, because like I've been in it for so long. Someone who's newer might not have that perspective. But for me, I'm kind of just using it as a sign of like, hey, like let's intentionally slow down here and like let's put the focus on some other things. And I'll go back to the gym when I can go back to the gym. But like I'm honestly probably going to take like the rest of this week and weekend off, just to make sure I'm fully recovered and spend time on a bunch of other things that I need to get in order. So
Yeah. And I think when we talk about losing progress, taking it 2, 3, 4 days off from the gym is really not going to be that detrimental. But again, it's like, even if you push it to like a full week and you recover fully and can go back to the gym, that's going to be so much better for your progress than if you try to do some half-ass workout 3 days in and then you got more sick and then you had to take more days off. So I
yeah.
think it's at the end of the day, like your health is more important than, a couple days worth of gains from the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. And those gains, like if you do go to the gym when you're sick, like it's just not going to be good. Like you're going to feel weaker. Like even if it's just a head cold, like, you're just not all the way there. It's not worth it. It's not worth, like, it's not going to be worthwhile progress either. So yeah, definitely love that point.
Yeah. So this is something that we're going to talk about at the end, but I feel like we're kind of already talking about it. So
Yeah.
like if you are going back to the gym after some time of being sick, we don't want to go like, oh, okay, well, I've been out for 5 days, so now I can go balls to the wall and do this like extreme workout and make up for the 5 days. You do want to ease back into them. So even something that may seem fairly easy, I still think that's a really good place to start, because you want to gauge your soreness, you want to gauge your recovery. And there have been times where I've gone back to the gym and I've done something that I feel like is pretty easy. And the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, like I overdid it as far as volume or as far as weight. So again, I like to just say, do a workout, kind of see how you feel. And then if it's like, oh, okay, like that wasn't that bad, then you can kind of continue to push it a little bit more and more, but don't just go like super intense, like high recovery, high weights your first day back.
Oh yeah. I had a client, excuse me. I had a client who she went to a vacation like in the middle of December, and she came back just I'm gonna redo this. Oh, that's the most annoying thing. Okay. So Shane, you can restart here. So I had a client who she went on vacation in the middle of December, came back, came down with something. Oh no, she came down with COVID. She had COVID. And she basically took like a week and a half off from that. And she just like started going back to the gym now. And I was like, hey, it's been a little bit, because she didn't train on the vacation and then she didn't train through COVID. Like she tried doing like a couple bodyweight workouts, but nothing crazy. Oh, gross. I hate when I have a frog in my throat. I have to pause this. I'm gonna pause Audacity.
Sure.
All right. Okay, so we're back.
Audacity.
I put it, yeah. Oh, sorry. Shit. Let me delete that. Okay, Audacity in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So starting back up here. So I had a client who she went on vacation in mid-December, and she came back from that, came down with COVID, and basically had like a 3 week probably span, almost not a month, but almost like a month, like 3 weeks or so, where she was not in the gym at all from the vacation, travel days, etc., to then being sick and then recovering and then being able to finally go back to the gym. So for her, she basically, I was like, hey, I need you to go like 50% at the gym this week, and probably no more than that. It's probably going to feel heavy. You're probably not going to feel 100%. Like you probably just spent like half the time having COVID, like not eating as much as you needed to. So like food resources are probably low. Glycogen storage is probably low. Just even though if you're recovered, it's just like, it's a new stimulus again. So your muscle memory takes a little bit to come back. So I was like 50%, no more than that. And she was like, Marissa, I was so destroyed, even just going at like 50%. So she was kind of discouraged. And so what I do want to encourage you guys is, if you're in that position, you took couple weeks off because of getting sick, COVID, whatever it is, just know that your muscle memory will have you back to where you were very quickly. Even if you took like a month off, it's not going to be the end of the world. You will get back to where you were much quicker than the first time it took you to actually get there. Muscle memory does exist. It's a beautiful thing. So don't stress. Just if the first couple of workouts are really crappy and you feel really weak, it's okay. Like that's normal. That probably should happen. But just take it easy getting back into it. So I did want to just use that anecdote as well.
Yeah, and the same thing goes for any sort of cardio as well. Like your endurance is probably going to be shot.
Yeah.
Like I know, same thing. I have a client right now who's sick, and she was like, I get winded just even going up the stairs, which is not uncommon for most people anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. Like, you used to be able to do, run or jog or whatever for however many minutes. And even just like getting up and walking around the house seems like a chore or a task. So definitely give yourself some grace. Of course, you don't want to use it as this excuse to prolong and take 2 or 3 months off, but just easing your way back in.
Yeah, totally. And then the other thing you wrote here, sweat it out versus rest it out. Were you referring to like saunaing?
No, I feel like sometimes people have this mentality if they're sick, like, oh, I just need to go to the gym and like sweat it out.
Okay.
And they kind of have this like, I'm not going to rest. I just need to like burn off whatever I have. And I don't know if that's just like old school, like bro bodybuilder advice.
Yeah.
But I feel like, especially now, like the past 2 years, I feel like if you're sick, like just stay home.
Just stay the
Like,
fuck home.
Yeah. Just like, I don't know, I don't think it's really worth it to like, just for anyone's sake, yours or anyone else you could be possibly like exposing. So, and then there is, sauna. There are some people who just, they have that mentality of like kind of sweating it out in that sense, but not a lot of people have their own sauna at home. But I mean, I know that like really hot showers sometimes help, like as far as recovery and clearing out whatever you have going on, especially if it's like a respiratory thing. But
yeah, I was gonna say, because like you wrote that and it made me think of like at-home saunas. I was like, damn, like I really wish like I was just like rolling in the dough right now and I just had an at-home sauna. Because like it if you don't have a fever and you're not having actual temperature issues, that's a very strong disclaimer. Sometimes that can help, is like actually like physically sweating. Like obviously you're not exerting yourself, but like either a hot shower, or just, like clearing out your sinuses, like all of that. I don't know if it's like an old wives' tale type of thing and it's like not actually helpful, but like I've always found it to be helpful whenever I'm in that situation. And then definitely, like you said, just like chill if you're sick, if you're getting
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to just being sick, I guess like the main thing we want to just say is just rest. Give yourself some time to recover. And I mean, that comes too with like mental work too. So the past 2 days, like I tried to sit down and like work because I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. Like we took a whole lot of time off. We have all this new stuff now that we want to implement on top of catching up with what we had.
Yeah.
And I felt like overwhelmed. And then I sat down and I was like, oh, I can't even concentrate.
Brain fog.
Yeah, brain fog. Like I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't do anything for a prolonged period of time. And then it was frustrating because I was like, I mean, I was up for like an hour or two and I was sitting at my desk, like, oh my God, I'm ready to go back to bed. And it's hard to fight that. And so I almost felt like maybe I should have taken a nap, like should have listened to my body, rested a little more, and then maybe felt better and gotten back to it and been a little bit more productive than just sit there and like try and like force myself to work. And it just didn't.
Yeah.
So sometimes what I have to tell my clients is if, a lot of times most people, and again, it's different now because I feel like with remote work, the working environment has changed a little bit. So even if you are sick, you're still sometimes like thought of trying to get back to work from home. But if you are able to take off work and you're sick and you can stay at home, trying to kind of like reframe and like I know that it's like, oh, I'm home, so now I can do stuff at home, now I can be productive. And then you're like, oh no, but my body's telling me to just sit on the couch and do nothing. So I feel like that's really hard too. So trying to like not just rest physically but also mentally, so taking a little break in that sense.
Yeah, because all stress is cumulative. So if you're putting a ton of mental stress on yourself, even if you're not doing anything physically, it can still kind of drag you down. Thankfully, I haven't been too bad brain fog wise. I think it was because I actually took a very slow morning. Like I woke up at 8 and I didn't start working till 10. And like I really like sat down and like stretched, like tried to get blood flowing, journaled, meditated, and like really like let my mind get there before I was like, okay, time to work now. So maybe even 10:30. So I've been okay since then. It's a little like it's a little bit there, but like I'm pretty okay, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, like brain fog when you're sick is the freaking worst because you're just like I can't even go to the gym. I want to get more done, but like I can't even like think. So that's super frustrating.
Yeah. Yes. So, all right. So now you're sick, you need to rest. So it's like, all right, now what else can you do? So, um, I feel like kind of eating and drinking kind of goes into a little bit into the same category.
Yeah.
But we really want to make sure that you're hydrated, especially if you have a fever, if you're, throwing up, or, if you're being dehydrated, we want to make sure that we're continuing to rehydrate. So things that are super important, like soups, broths, tea, hot tea, especially if you have issues with your, like a sore throat, coconut water. And then we want to also make sure that you're drinking things with electrolytes. So I know that they have a lot of like hydration packets or like with liquid IV. And then there's another one my husband actually just bought. It's like I forget what it stands for. But they have these little like hydration packs that are filled with like potassium and salt and different types of electrolytes. So making sure that you're replenishing your body, because if you're anything like me and most people, when you get sick, you just want like good old fashioned comfort food. Like you want all the carbs, like you want like things that aren't as like appealing as they should be, like fruits and vegetables. So if you're getting those in I think that that's really important.
Yeah. I will pull out my culture card here, and whenever I get sick or like I'm just not feeling the best, pho broth
Mm.
is the fucking
Mm-hmm.
best. It is so packed with electrolytes that you can pretty much guarantee the scale will go up a pound or two the next day, because that's how much sodium is in pho broth. But y'all, like if you do that, like add some sriracha or spices to like get your nose running, like it is the best way to clear out your entire sinus and just get so much like warm soup in your body. It is the perfect sick day cure. So
That's what I want for dinner now.
yeah, I'm probably gonna get that, get like a pickup order
I
for
was just
sure.
thinking, yeah.
um
Oh man, that sounds really, really good.
but yeah.
Unfortunately, my husband's not a huge fan, but oh, I mean, I could have that all day. Now I'm in the mood for it.
Yeah, so pho broth, bone broth is actually really good too, especially if you're
Hmm.
like struggling. Like a lot of times, like you said, the regular stuff that you normally eat isn't as appealing. I don't know about, like, I don't necessarily get like the cravings for like the like quote unquote bad things. I just like don't have as much of an appetite for like anything really. I know that's really common for a lot of people too. So if you're struggling with just like getting in enough protein or just enough food in general, like um a bone broth is a great way to get in protein. Those soups are a great way to get in plenty of fluid. And honestly, if you are able to like get food down and that's not something you're struggling with whatever you're sick with, increasing your calories when you're sick, especially if you're in a calorie deficit in whatever phase you're in, is actually really, really key and crucial. A lot of times clients will say like, oh, I'm sick, like can I skip this week or something or whatever, and maybe we're dieting, maybe we're in a fat loss phase. And my answer is usually like, well, actually, this is a really great time to learn about how we need to adjust things, because most likely we need to increase calories so that your body has more resources to recover with. If you think about, again, just the concept of stress being cumulative, a calorie deficit, restricting your food is a stressor on the body, and food gives you nutrients for recovery. So if you're not giving yourself those nutrients, how is your body going to pull from things to actually repair from the virus, the sickness? So increasing your calories can actually really, really help. Your metabolism's running on overdrive to get this thing out of your system. So don't be afraid. I mean, obviously, like don't be an asshole, but like don't be afraid to eat what you need, or even slightly more than what you need. Obviously try to make that as nutrient dense as you can, but increasing your calories up to maintenance, or even just a slightly above that when you're sick, can actually be really, really helpful.
Yeah. So I think it just, you have to take into consideration like how you're feeling, what your appetite is like. Cause obviously, if you're struggling to eat anything, it's going to be impossible to increase your calories.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like if you are okay with the intake that you're at now, then that should be okay. But if you feel like, oh man, I'm really hungry, but I shouldn't eat, I feel like you need to listen to your body. And it's probably telling you, like, hey, no, we actually, like, we need this food.
Yeah. Like I hadn't weighed myself since like before the trip, I think, because there was no scale where we were staying. But this morning, I actually weighed in like 3 pounds lower than where I was. And I didn't eat any less. I'm just like dehydrated, and like probably my body's trying to fight this thing off. And I'm like losing like fluid and electrolytes from that. So if you can eat maintenance or slightly higher. If you can't stomach food or can't stomach that much, get as much as you can. And fluid is
Yes.
priority.
So ironically enough, I'm pregnant and I was still down 3 pounds
Oh my
when I
God.
came home from my trip. But I think it was because that drive home, like I wasn't drinking enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's like, yeah, if you're not getting enough food in, it's like, all right, well, let me make sure that with what I am eating, I am getting in some good quality foods. I mean, like you, it's not necessarily that I crave bad food. It's just that I crave like
Simple.
I don't know. Yeah, like simple. Like yesterday, I had like toast with peanut butter and bananas and honey
That
because
sounds so good.
I know, because like I just couldn't like. eggs and spinach, like that just like didn't appeal to me the same way. I was like, I just want carbs. Like
Yeah.
that's what my body was telling me. So also so you talk about the culture card. So I know that especially in the Hispanic community, garlic is like I literally know friends who will talk about when they're sick or they feel themselves getting sick, they will literally eat like spoonfuls of garlic,
Yeah, which
of
is
diced garlic.
freaking insane.
Oh yeah, it's wild. But they're like, that's what their moms taught them. That's what their moms, and they're like, it works.
Yeah.
um, so garlic is really good. Ginger as well. We just talked about honey.
Yeah.
Um, bananas, again, bananas are really good too if you're having like body aches. So they're high in potassium. But yeah, I mean, just everything that you like, anything that you should really be incorporating with a healthy diet, like fruits, vegetables, healthy grains, salmon, all of those things.
Yeah, and like don't skip your multivitamin if you take it, right? A note on garlic though, it's funny you mentioned that because now that I think about it, when I was like deep down the supplement rabbit hole, like when I was like first introduced to the nutrition corners and like first partnering with them, I pretty much was like, give me everything I could possibly need for like anything at all. And when I got sick back in the day, the guys at the store would actually tell me to have this like garlic supplement, and it was literally just like freaking garlic in a pill, and it was just like super dosed garlic, like condensed, so that there was a lot of it in that little capsule, but it stunk, so like I knew it was garlic. And so it actually did help a decent bit. And then on ginger too, like every time like Aaron's not feeling well, he will always go get like fresh ginger from the store and make ginger tea, and like that's like his thing. So that's definitely two things that I've seen anecdotally with myself or with Aaron work really, really well.
Yeah, and I've seen they actually make like ginger chews. They're kind of like candy, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I've seen those. So those are really great. And of course, vitamin C. I feel
Yeah.
like everyone knows to have those. So like if you, and that's the other thing too. It's like, yeah, of course we want you to eat things through full, like through the actual food source, but at the same time, it's like if you can't take it, I don't know how much is like the recommended amount, but like, what if it's like 3 tablespoons of garlic? Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
freaking
lot of
gross.
fucking garlic. Yeah. So like if you could take that in like a pill form, then like that probably is a little bit easier. But yeah, definitely don't skip your multivitamin or any of the supplements that you're taking.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like we've covered eating, drinking. I guess the only other thing here is just sleep.
Mhm.
When you're sick, use the opportunity to sleep as much as humanly possible. And try to get at least 8 hours. And like if you're taking off of work, it's a great opportunity to sleep in. Personally, like whenever I'm sick, even if I'm not sick with something like crazy bad, I will like take NyQuil and just like knock the fuck out. I don't know if that's best practice or not, but like it helps me feel like I've like done something for my health. So
Yeah. For me, it was frustrating because I'm already not sleeping well to begin with.
yeah.
Just because everything at this point in time is just uncomfortable. And so I'm like on top of that, like I feel like my husband is like, gosh, I'm so thankful for him because if it wasn't for him, I'd be such a night owl. So he's like really, really good about keeping me on a schedule, but like I will go to bed at like, I mean, I think was it not last night, but 2 nights ago, we went to bed at like 9 o'clock and I still slept in until like 7 because
Nice.
I know like, yeah, I'm technically sleeping like longer, but the quality of sleep that I'm getting is not there. So same thing, like if you're sick and you're waking up or if you're on and off, like if you do need to stay in bed, like don't feel guilty about that. Because I know some people are like, oh man, I'm such a slob. Like I need to get up. Like if you need to
Yeah.
stay in bed, stay in bed.
Yeah, like this is your excuse right here. Like any other time you can call yourself a lazy like piece of crap, but like this time, like just use it. Use it as an excuse because
Yeah.
your body is going to try to get the amount of sleep that it needs to actually help you recover. This is when most of the recovery is actually happening, is in your sleep. So don't cut that short. This is when I typically hear like clients clients or people in my life who are like, oh yeah, I got sick with this. Like I slept like 13 hours, like 3 days in a row. Like that's like where the repair is happening and your body's going to want to take from that time. So don't be afraid to lengthen out your sleep hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of like we mentioned, like that's kind of all we have today. We knew it was going to be kind of short because there's not really a whole lot and we're also not feeling well. So
Yeah.
we want to go back to resting. But we hope this was helpful. I mean, like we mentioned, a lot of our clients are sick right now. So hopefully you have a little bit more of a game plan if you're recovering or if you're, possibly will get sick in the future. But we hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You can find both of us on Instagram. You can find me at Crystalline Fit and Marissa is at Marissa Roy Fitness. And thank you guys so much for listening. We hope to see you back next week and we hope that you stay safe.